all 600.
You're watching a video from CycleCruza's all-in-one sport bike channel. Subscribe today.
You know, we all have preferences. And the perfect bike for me may not be the perfect bike for you. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. You know, they always go to your channel and they always want to tell you, you should get this bike because it's got more torque or it looks cooler or whatever. They always try to say you should get a different bike when they don't realize that, you know, you're riding the bike that you chose to ride because that meets your preferences. We all have our own preferences, man. And I'm going to tell you what my preferences are, what makes a perfect bike for me. Okay, the first preference that I have in a bike is that the bike is lightweight. I like lightweight bikes because I like light handling. I like to be able to whip the bike around like this. That's what I love about these super sport bikes, man. Like I said, I believe they're the safest bike out here on the streets, man. The safest type of motorcycle out here on the streets. Because the handling is so bam, you know, if you get into trouble, you can get yourself out of it rather quickly. When you have those great big heavy Harleys or Cruisers, you know, those fuckers, you can't move them like you can on this bike. And the bikes and the brakes on these bikes are fucking awesome. But that is my number one preference in a motorcycle. And I don't want a bike any heavier than 450 pounds. The next preference that I have is I like a quick bike. I like a bike that can power me out of trouble. So when I'm looking for a bike, I want the 0 to 60 performance to be at least less than 4 seconds. 4 seconds or less. You know, 0 to 100, less than say 8 or 7 seconds. The next preference that I have is that I want a bike that has full fairings, and that's very important to me. So that's either number 2 or number 3 on my list of preferences. Because a full fairing bike is going to allow you to take long trips at highway speeds without tiring out fast. Because the fairings, like on my bike, it diverts all the wind over me, over the rider. So I don't have this, you know, pounding of wind on my neck and my head that you would get, like, say, on a naked bike, where, you know, you're on the highway and your head just bobbling around, and it wears you down over time, man. So it's very important. I like to take long trips. You know, like I did this past summer. I went down to the Triple Nickel, man. You know, it's about a good 4.5, 5 hour ride down there. And I spent 12 hours on my bike. And when I got home, I hated to put my bike away. I could not have done that on a naked bike. I mean, there's guys out there that probably do it, but it's just not comfortable for me to get battered by the wind. Even when I was on that CBR 250R, man, I got beat up pretty good by the wind on that bike. So even a full fairing, depends on a full fairing bike, like the small 250s. I mean, really, you don't want to hang out on the highway that long on a 250 anyhow, man, because it cannot power you out of trouble. Another preference that I have is that, most importantly, that you're able to get parts rather quickly for the bike, very easily, and you have a good dealer network. With the European bikes, especially, you know, like, say, the KTM and the Triumph bikes, there's not that many dealers out there. You know, and parts are not readily available like they are with the Japanese bikes. That's what I really love about Japanese bikes. Is parts are always available, man. Especially on these Hondas and the Gixxers. I guess all of them. You know, most of them, but definitely Honda. Honda has the best part availability. There's a lot of good aftermarket support for Honda as well. Another important another important preference for me is that the bike have comfortable, at least somewhat comfortable ergonomics for a super sport. Now I know super sports are not really intended for street use, but nowadays they're actually making some of the super sports more comfortable for street use. Like on this bike, the 2007 and newer Honda CBR 600RR, you know, they did raise the clip-ons a bit on here, so you have less pressure on your wrists and hands from your upper body weight. You'll never have any problems with that on this bike. It has a comfortable seat. The ergonomics are absolutely perfect for me. I love the ergonomics. I wouldn't change anything about the ergonomics on this bike. But it's very important to me because I like to do, like I said, I like to travel long distances on my bike. And there's no way in hell on a stock Yamaha R6 that I could ride that bike, you know, with the hard seat, the low clip-ons, hard suspension for long distances. And it's not something that I would enjoy. So, you know, that's very important to me, is the ergonomics, somewhat comfortable. But that varies, like I said, man. Everybody has their own preferences. There's a lot of guys out there that, you know, they don't mind traveling long distances on their Yamaha R6 or whatever super sport they have that has low clip-ons and the hard seat. You know, you can easily change the seat out, mind you. You know, you can make a super sport more comfortable, mind you. You know, you can add raised clip-ons, although it can be a pain in the ass because sometimes you have to replace the throttle and brake lines because they're not long enough sometimes. So that can be like an irritation, but it can be done. You can add a softer seat. You know, you can put on adjustable rear sets. You know, you can soften the suspension up a bit. So there, you know, you can make some changes and make it more suitable for street riding. Okay, the next preference that I have is a fuel gauge. I appreciate my fuel gauge, man, because I ride, you know, all street. I haven't even hit the track yet, but on the street, a fuel gauge is awesome because it just, you know about how much gas you have at all times. I don't want to have to rely on a fuel light to pop on to tell me that my fuel is low and that I need to get my ass to a gas station. What if that fuel light, what if the light burns out and it doesn't come up? Or you're working on your bike and you mess with the cable and it deactivates the fuel light, it messes up the fuel light sensor, which has happened to this one dude on YouTube. He was painting his, he had a Kawasaki ZX6R, and he had to take his tank off to paint it, and somehow he messed up the cable to the fuel light sensor, and he got stranded on the road. His light never came on, and bam, he's on the side of the road, stranded. You know, with a fuel gauge, if you have problems with your fuel gauge, you'll know immediately, you know, and you'll know that you need to do something to correct it right away. You don't have to wait to see if a light's going to come on or not. Now, if you have problems with your fuel gauge, it's going to show up. You know, you're going to know right away. So you're going to be able to correct the problem. You don't know with the fuel light, man. So that's why I don't really like those. Now, you can put on a trip timer, but what if you forget to put on a trip timer when you're at the gas station? So, I just don't understand why they can't put a damn fuel gauge on all the bikes, all the super sport bikes. I guess because these bikes really are not intended for the street. They're intended for the track. Really, they're track street legal bikes. But, you know, in my opinion, the CBR has a street in mind more than most other bikes out there. But one thing that was cool, the Daytona 675R, Triumph added the fuel gauge on the Triumph Daytona 675R. They must have been listening to me on my channel. Me bragging about the fuel gauge on my bike. Because my bike, you know, before the 2013 Triumph Daytona 675R, my bike was the only bike, the CBR 600RR is the only super sport that has a fuel gauge. Period. But one thing I think that's cool is that manufacturers, these bike companies, are now starting to realize that most riders ride on the street. They don't ride on the track, man. Because most of us can't afford to ride on the track regularly because the shit is very expensive. So they're starting to make their super sports more street friendly. Kawasaki did it with the 2013 ZX6R 636. They brought the power down lower in the RPMs, more mid-range, softer suspension. Gixxer has been doing it for a while, along with Honda. You know, more linear power, softer suspension, softer seat. You know, so it's good to see. The only bike that's left behind is the Yamaha R6. It's really more of a pure track bike compared to all the other Japanese super sports. So, but I think they'll end up changing. I don't know, because they still have a lot of guys, a lot of young guys out there that are buying these R6s because they just look so cool, you know. And in my opinion, that's the worst thing you can do, is buy a bike just because it looks cool. You want a bike that you're going to enjoy yourself out here on the streets, it's comfortable for you, and that meets all of your preferences. But like I said, it's up to you. But yeah, these are all of my preferences that I have that I just listed, and that's what makes a fantastic, perfect bike for me. So now you understand why I'm hooting and hollering, saying CBR 600 RR. It's because this bike meets all of my preferences, man. It's everything that I want in a super sport for the street. But it may not be the perfect bike for you. I'm not one of those dickheads, contrary to popular belief, that I think my bike is the best bike and everybody else's bike is shit. That's not true, man. You know, I love all different types of bikes, man. I'm a true motorcycle enthusiast, man. I love trikes, I love Harleys, I love all those bikes, but none of those bikes, all the other bikes out there, do not meet my preferences like this CBR 600 RR. That's why I couldn't get rid of this bike when I sold it on eBay and I canceled the sale. I was going to get a brand new 2012 Fireblade that I was going to pay cash for. But I couldn't do it because the new Fireblade, you know, the Fireblades don't meet all of my preferences. You know, it lacks a fuel gauge. And also, it doesn't have a sight glass where you can just quickly check the oil, which, you know, I've become spoiled with on this bike. You just sit this bike upright, look through the window, and you check your oil level, and you're good to go. You don't have to screw the cap off, fucking wipe it off on a paper towel, stick it back in, check the level, and then stick it back on. And you have to go through all that extra shit. Not that it's that big of a deal, but it's still something that I enjoy on this bike. And I enjoy my fuel gauge on this bike. Like I said, I wouldn't be going any faster on that Fireblade than I would on this bike. So it makes no fucking sense to me. And for those of you guys that keep saying that you think my bike doesn't have no torque for you, ride one and see how it feels to you. This bike feels very torquey, man. Believe me, I am not lusting for any more power on this bike. And if I did, I would have got rid of this bike a long time ago, and I'd have been the first one to tell you if it sucked or not. When I tell you this bike is awesome, I'm telling you it straight up 100%. That's how I feel on this bike. I'm not bullshitting you guys. But yeah, guys, so for you new riders out there, you know, a lot of you people out there that are contemplating on buying a motorcycle, you really don't know your preferences yet because you haven't had a chance to, you haven't ridden a motorcycle yet. So, like I said, that's why I say start on the 250, man. It's lightweight. You'll gain confidence fast. You know, not just the 250, whatever. If you want to start on a 400, 500, 650, whatever. Just don't start on a super sport. You know, you can start on a Gixxer. Like I said, the 2008 through 2010 has rider modes A, B, and C, which C reduces the power by 40%. If you want to go that route, you can start on a super sport that way. Just start on mode C and then work your way up to mode A, you know. But I just say that you should start on a lightweight 250, a used one, you know, because you don't have to worry about if you crash it. You know, it's not your dream bike. You don't give a shit. You're gonna end up selling it anyhow. You know, and it'll give you all the skills, help you gain all the confidence and skills on that bike, so that when you get your dream bike, that you'll be able to treat it right. That's why I tell people to start on a, you know, an old, lightweight, shitty bike, just to help you learn how to shift and gain your skills and confidence, and that way you can be, you know, you can baby your, treat your dream bike with care, know how to ride it properly. But that's up to you guys, man. You know, I just try to help you guys out. That's all, man. But whatever, guys, you do what the fuck you want to do. So until next time,
I'll catch you guys later. Deuces.
also, I forgot to mention, in my opinion, I think the inline 4 sounds the best. Fuck the 3-cylinder, fuck the twin cylinder, fuck the single cylinder. They all sound like fucking lawnmowers compared to the inline 4. Especially on this 2008 Honda CBR 600 double R. Listen to the glory, baby. Yeah! Fuck!
And it's time for CycleCruza's recommended videos.
Links are in the info section of this video. Check out my time-lapse video of arguably the best twisty road in Ohio, better known as Route 555, aka the Triple Nickel. Check out my video walk around of all the different colors of arguably the best 600 on the streets. The CBR 600 double R, baby. Yeah. Check out my Halloween Motovlog special, where I share some of my personal ghost stories, including a trip through the beautiful Colorado Rocky Mountains to the notoriously haunted 100-year-old Stanley Hotel. Do you own your motorcycle or car, or does it own you? Check out this Motovlog where I teach you how to get out of the box and stop being a slave to the banks out there and be a boss and own shit. Hey guys, check out my new channel where I talk about anything and everything, not just motorcycle related. CycleCruza Motovlogs. Check out my new 2014 t-shirt and hoodie designs. One says, wear gear. Don't have a fucked up day. And the other design says, riding strong for you street soldiers out there. These designs come in all different colors, and it comes in women and men's sizes. Go check it out at CycleCruza.com.
CycleCruza.com.
Hey, join in on the discussion over at my forum at CycleCruza.com, and also hit like on my Facebook page for new updates. And that's Facebook.com/CycleCruza1.